2, my double feature that I did earlier tonight, is the movie Brooklyn. It's directed by John Crowley, stars Saoirse Ronan, Donald Gleason, and Emery Cohen. The movie's about a young Irish girl's immigration in the 1950s from Ireland to the United States in order to try and create a better life for herself. But upon moving, she realizes that her past will catch up to her, or it does catch up to her, and it's up to her to make a decision as to where she wants to go with her life, and where is she going to let her past bring her back home, or is she going to stay with the allure of the United States and the new promises and opportunities and the new life she created for herself in that time while she was gone. Now, seeing Brooklyn, actually, now I will be honest, part of what drew me into the movie was the critical acclaim that I saw. I didn't read any reviews, and it wasn't any videos, reviewing the movie itself, but just seeing the positive acclaim. I am a big fan of Ronan herself, actually knowing her from even back in The Lovely Bones, and I love the movie Hannah as well, which she starred in both of those. And so I was really interested to see what she was doing as she continued to grow up. So, seeing the reviews, this was something I was like, I wanted to see. I want to be able to make sure that I'm stepping out of my comfort zone every once in a while. This was clearly marketed as a romantic movie, which is not my forte. That's not the typical movie that I'm going to see on my own. I try to see a wide variety, but, romantic comedies or just romance movies in general aren't my preferred style, but I wanted to step outside my comfort zone while seeing an actress that I particularly enjoy as well. So this was something I wanted to check out, and I was pleasantly surprised. The movie, actually, pretty much in all facets, it's an interesting story because in very many ways it's a coming-of-age tale, very similar to a lot of romances, and there are a lot of very similar tropes and consistencies that you'll see from this to many other romance movies about girl travels to a strange area, meets a boy, and there's her past, which is a very common theme across a lot of romance movies. There were some things that were unique to this, though. In particular, for one, this was a girl traveling to a foreign land, but this foreign land was America. This wasn't an American traveling abroad, which made this actually a little bit more relatable in some ways, because this is someone acclimating to our country as opposed to acclimating to another, and where we would assume as Americans what the difference is over there. This is us knowing what America is at least like, and then seeing it through the eyes of someone who is a foreigner, someone who we can still relate to, still speaks the same language, but culturally there's so many different things in terms of family, tradition, and like I said, culture is still different, even though that we have some knowledge of it. It just shows how far apart we really are in terms of understanding how other cultures react. And this isn't set in the 50s, so it was even different, much more different then as well. But it is just such a different culture shock. And to see this in this shy, young Irish girl who's very, homesick, she doesn't know anyone, like I said, she's very shy, it's such an interesting take on it, because this isn't the confident older woman, this is a young girl, and she's clearly uncomfortable, she's clearly homesick, she misses her family, she doesn't know anyone until she meets a boy played by Emery Cohen, who is this young Italian boy, and he just instantly takes a liking to her, and the feeling of belonging that she gets from him, and through these relationships and how she grows and matures as a woman, but then is faced with these other problems and the call back home when something happens, won't say what, and then another element is introduced in the character of Donald Gleason, and the pull of her family to instantly try to make this work, and the friends and everyone she used to know to try to bring her back home to what she knew, but yet she made this new life for herself that she wanted to in America. It's an interesting take. So it very much is, like I said, there are a lot of tropes of a similar love triangle in a lot of romance movies, but it is really interesting because they do really hammer out so many important parts like values, and especially family. And holding that honor of the family and that commitment is something that really did make this stand out from a lot of different ones. It could have been just a scene where they played it off about, family, and then moved on. But no, this really hammers it home. It wants you to understand the discomfort that she feels and how tough this decision really is for her. It's not just playing it off for just a gag. And I really, really enjoyed it out of that. Ronan herself is phenomenal. She's a great actress. There are times where her character is very stoic. I wish that they would have let her be a little more vulnerable. She is vulnerable, but not emotionally as many points. She does try to play this tough act. She tries not to let people in a lot of times. When she does, she hits it out of the park, and she's great. I was really happy with her performance. She carries the movie. The men are the side stories in this. Cohen for himself, though, is awesome. It's easy as an American to relate to this kind of, affable, goofy guy, but he does really play it off really well, and they have great chemistry together. It really shows. At least, he's always trying, and she's sometimes pushing him away, but they work great together. He added a lot of energy, a lot of heart to the movie. I was really surprised. I had no experience with him before. Gleason's great. his character is very subdued in this movie, so it was tough to really glean a lot from him. That's nothing against his performance. It's just his character was. It sounds like he was, or it seems like he was written to be very conservative and very subdued, and his performance reflected that. He does very well in the scenes that he's given. It's just there's not a lot to work with. Jim Broadbent's in the movie is a very small role. He's great in everything he does. It's just a very very small part, but he does great in it. But so I mean the film's directed well. It does move along slowly at points, but it really wants you to take this journey with the character and really experience what she's going through. And I think they do that very well. I mean, even as a male, I can say you do pull for her, and you do understand if you come from any other culture and whatsoever. Have some Latino blood in me, some Mexican in me, and though I've never felt that necessarily that, but just knowing the pull from different cultures from one to another is something that I can at least partially relate to, and I know a lot of us can, whether it's directly or indirectly with other family. So to see that, it does create an emotional anchor for the movie, and I think she pulls it off very well. It is directed well. There are some slow points where you can see the inevitability of where the film is headed, and it does take a little while to get there, and I think they could have trimmed some of that fat away. And by the time the second half with Gleason is introduced, it feels a little late in the going, whereas it seemed like that would have been earlier. This movie is based on a book of the same name, so I'm assuming they were following the script on that. I have not read the book, but it just felt a little late in the going. It felt like that if you were going to try to create that emotional hook and that triangle, it should have happened sooner. It just feels a little too late. But it works. And like I said, I was still very, very pleasantly surprised. I'm not loving this movie as much as critics. I give it a thumbs up, definitely. I did really enjoy it. I surprisingly enjoyed it. It's not really marketed at me, but I still really did love the film. And I'm actually still going to give it a much higher rating than I thought I would. It's probably not going to be in my top 5 or top 10, but I'm still going to give it a solid 8.2. I think they really accomplished making this movie very relatable. Like I said, the message is clear, and it hits home at a lot of core values that a lot of movies like this don't. And I think on that reason alone, it's very worthwhile to check out. I told my wife after this is a movie that she would really like, and it's something that I can support as a well-made film as well. It's well acted, it's well directed, it's well written. And I strongly recommend that you check this out if you're a fan of the romance genre, period dramas, coming-of-age stories, because it does encapsulate a lot of those all in one. So, strongly recommend Brooklyn. I definitely give it a thumbs up. It's very worthwhile to check it out. It had a very limited release, so if you can find it anywhere nearby you, I definitely say check it out. And, yeah, I'll check you guys next time. Thanks.